Good morning, everybody. My name is David Parks. I'm with the Maryland Department of Agriculture. I know a lot of you from my past life and this one as well. So we'll breeze through this. This is a yearly update and qualifies for your continuing certification. So our department, our staff is broke up in this manner. Mr. Rob Hofstetter, he lives here on the Eastern Shore. He's our program manager. Certification and training coordinator, Alexander Lehman, Alex Lehman. When you call in there, he's a great guy. If you guys need help with your certification, renewals, updates, any questions you have, if your certification credits are on your license, ready for your next renewal, he's a great guy to talk to. He's new with our department. He's been there just about a year now, but Alex has grabbed the bull by the horns and really took in heart to the position, and I think we got one that's going to stay. This is our fourth one since I've been there in 7 years. So he's a really good guy, and he'll help you. And you can just call right into the main office and ask for Alex Lehman. Okay. Enforcement coordinator, also my direct supervisor is Miss Kelly Love. Kelly's a great gal. Has a lot of common sense and takes her job very seriously and does a great job as well. And she's always willing to talk to you anytime that you need any questions answered. And she's always there available at the office. Inspector Supervisor Bray Argall. Bray is on the Western Shore. He did come over here one time for one investigation on Kent Island a few years ago, but you'll hardly ever see him being here on the shore. But Bray is our inspector supervisor. Inspectors include myself here on the Eastern Shore, Sam Yapa. We call him Yapa. He's on the Western Shore. I'll go into a map of all the inspectors here in a second. Stephen Goff and Zach Safford is on the Western Shore. Office administration, we have Jess. She's been there for many years. Hannah's been there for many years as well. Hannah's a great gal, and she's really knowledgeable. She's a little hard to understand on the phone. I'm the first one to say that, but she's really, really helpful and can really help you out as well. And then we have another Alex that is on the administrative side. So when you call in there, make sure you know if it's licensing specific, make sure you know Lehman is who you're looking for, or the guy Alex. They're okay with that. Okay. So this is our map. Again, here on the shore, I now have both the southern and the northern territories again. We did have another inspector down south, but he is now no longer with us. So I do have the whole shore again. We'll be refilling that position pretty soon. They should be posting it within the next couple of weeks. So hopefully we'll get a new inspector on the southern half and split the shore so I can help you guys if you need anything and be a little bit more readily available. On the western shore, we have Stephen up in Anne Arundel and Baltimore and Hartford and part of Cecil County. He and I do share Cecil County, so if you're way up north, you may run into Stephen as well. He comes down to the canal. We have Yapa in Montgomery and Howard. Bray is in southern Maryland in the purple there, and then Zach is out in western Maryland. So our regulations as far as our certification and training and our exams, this is the main website or the main web address you'll need to go through your information. I'll go into that a little bit more later in the slides as far as updating your license, renewals, what credits you have, things of that nature. The phone number, if you need it, is right there. It's the 410-841-5710. That's the main office, and you can get a hold of Alex or any of the office staff that I just went through that number. Testing locations are in Denton. We use the extension office down in Denton out on Legion Road. We do commercial exams there. We'll do private exams there as well. So if you miss one of the private exams that like Jenny or Shannon put on, locally, we work with them as well to do those. But if you miss one of those, you can also do it in Denton as well. We do Boonesboro out in Washington County, and then we do Annapolis. Denton is always on Monday, except this last one because it fell on President's Day, but it's every other month on Monday. Boonesboro is on Tuesday, and then the Annapolis exam is always on Friday. Excuse me. We do have an online option now. So if you want to take an online option, some people do, but it is $27.05 a test, an exam. So if you want to use that option, it's certainly there. Alex has been a big spearhead for this whole online testing. He's worked with them as far as how to get the test online. So if you have any questions about getting registered or going through that process, you can call Alex, and or you can use his email and talk to him that way as well. Main things that might affect you, we've got some new manuals, and we're going to be updating our test in the next couple of years. That's going to be a pretty big process. Some of these tests have been around since I was an applicator, so a lot of them have. So we're going to be updating the test and the study materials all to coincide with the online testing as well. This is our regulation. These are our regulations. COMAR 150501, regulations pertaining to pesticide applicators law. If you need a copy of this, I do have copies, not today unfortunately, but if you need a copy, I can get you one. And also it's on our web page as well, our home page on the Maryland Department of Agriculture pesticide regulations section. So a few numbers, pesticide applicator numbers in the state of Maryland. We have 1,444 licensed control businesses, pest control businesses, 279 public agencies. Those are your public roads, county roads, state roads, things of that nature. 2,652 certified private applicators, a lot of you guys. 7,169 registered technicians, 8,064 certified applicators. And when you're a private applicator in Maryland, you're also technically a certified applicator. Comes into play with applying restricted use pesticides, things of that nature. There are two different categories, but you qualify as a certified applicator, as a private applicator. 181 restricted use pesticide dealers. So you have to have a special license in order to sell restricted use pesticides in the state of Maryland. All those numbers are going to come into play, particularly the registered technician numbers. I'll go into that in a few minutes as well. Know what your license and certification, know what they are if they're current. I tell everybody, Shannon and I were just talking about it, I don't get a renewal notice for my license when it's getting ready to expire. I have to keep an eye on it. So keep an eye on your license. Know when it's going to expire. If you get that card, which I'll go into in a minute, make sure you have that code. Keep that code. That code never changes. So get that code, write it down on your license if you want to, but just make sure you have that code. It'll help you when you go to, that's how you log in to get in to renew your license. And remember, you cannot earn CEUs credits like today on an expired certificate, okay? If you're expired for more than 1 year, you may have to retake the test, okay? So if you know it's expired, just give us a call. Do have it. Look at your license today. I've already spoke with one guy whose license just expired at the end of December. So we'll get him straight. We'll bring you up current. We'll work with you to get it current, okay? The categories of applicators in the state of Maryland, private applicators, much like yourself. You guys need 4 credits every 3 years. Now, those 4 credits must take place in the last 2 years of that 3-year period. Just keep that in mind. But one thing I'll go into right now, and I'll probably do it again before my presentation is done because it happens every year. When you sign that certification list that Jenny's got today, renew your license, okay? That simply gives you the credits themselves and lets us know that you've been here, okay? You still have to renew your license. It's a common misconception where if I sign that thing, I'm renewed, whereas you're not, okay? Public agency applicators, again, we have a few of you here today. That's your state roads, county roads, weed control, things of that nature. You need 8 credits every year, as do commercial pest control applicators, and their license renews at the end of June. Private applicators, your license renews at the end of every year, at the end of December, or every 3rd year. It's the end of December is the period ending for the private applicators, so keep that in mind. Registered technicians work under a certified applicator. Again, I'll go into that in a few more, a little bit more in a few slides here, but it definitely is going to come into play. You get 1 credit for every half-hour training. These are the credits that you need for each individual category. I'm not going to go through it, every one of them, but most of you here are private applicators, so you need 4, okay? And they're covered today. Renewals. This is the renewal website. That's the address. It's on our webpage. You can get on there. I encourage you to get in there and play around on that website. There's tutorials you can look at if you're still having problems with the renewal process. If you don't want to do that, if you don't want to get on there and play around, don't want to get in there and go through it, at least be prepared, a little bit before your renewal period's about to expire, where you can call our office and go through that with them, okay? They will help you through it. They'll guide you through it, but you need to be prepared prior to your license expiration date, okay? Postcards, so common point of contention. We do mail postcards out, believe it or not. Some people do see them. A lot of people don't. I tell everybody all the time, I think it's a lot of them get hung up in flyers, or it's something in the mail sorting system. A lot of them get lost. But prior to your expiration, you should get a postcard. It gets mailed out. You may not get it, but it does get mailed out. But you also get an email, and unfortunately that email a lot of times goes to your spam folder. But again, guys, just keep in mind when your expiration date's coming, get that code. Once you've got that code, if you want to call today, if you expire next year, if you want to call into the office today and say, I need to know my code, they can give you that code, okay? And then you'll have it. Write it down. Keep that code. You're good to go. Jenny said, put it in your phone. I'd listen to Jenny. She's pretty smart. So, yeah, it's a great idea. Put it in your phone. And that's something else, too. If I'm, out looking at, when I do my use observations out in the field, if your license is getting old, getting dilapidated, take a picture of it, have it on your phone. That's fine with me. Your card, as long as I can see it, much like a label, as long as you have that label with you in one way, shape, or form, I'm fine with that. Okay. This is what the little sneaky postcard looks like. Okay. So that's what comes in the mail. The other side looks like this, and then at the end, it's not written in red, but here it is. It's a renewal code, okay? So just that code. That's the card that you're looking for. This is the online portal for research or for renewals. Down bottom there, that's kind of what it looks like. On there is a pesticide sensitive individual list. I had someone ask me about that earlier today, but you can only. It's only for people with Category 3 or Category 8 that you can access that, okay? Because that's all it pertains to. It doesn't pertain to ag. Okay, so keep that in mind. But that's what that website looks like. Again, I suggest you get on there, play around. You can always back out or just, as I like to call it, oops, my computer got struck by lightning, and hit the X button up in the top right-hand corner. Get rid of it. These are those certification sheets. Again, when you sign this, please have your license number. You should always have your license with you. Write down your license number. If you don't have your license number today, just write SS # and the last 4 digits of your Social Security number. They can find it that way. But as you see, there's 3 ladies in that office, and 4 including Alex as well. And there's a lot of you here today. So if you don't write down that license, they have to research that number, find you. And if your name's John Smith, that can turn into quite the problem. So write down your license. If not, worst case scenario, at least write down the last 4 digits of your Social Security number. Cards, your guys, private applicators, you know what your cards look like. You don't have your pictures on them. Pesticide Enforcement Advisory. Chlorpyrifos, of course, it's been prohibited in Maryland for a couple years now. The EPA has canceled food tolerances for that product, that active ingredient. But again, Maryland already had that in play, so we were kind of above and beyond the EPA on that one. Paraquat training, guys, it must be done every 3 years. When you do that, make sure you keep that certificate with you. When I check you, I'm supposed to check that as well, and along with your dicamba if you have that as well. Dicamba trainings every year. Are you doing the dicamba training today? No. Okay. So it's all online. Just use a search engine and Google it. It'll come up one way, shape, or form, either through the EPA or certain manufacturers have it on their websites as well. The Neonicotinoid Pollinator Protection Act, it was amended in October 1st, 2021, I went over this. It started back in 2018. It was a regulation that the Maryland enforced to protect bees, basically, and pollination, and kept systemic neonicotinoids out of the use, trying to keep them out of the use of the general public's hand and the abuse thereof. So that has been in there. You could get a hold of those products even if you didn't have a license, but you actually needed an applicator to apply them. But now they've taken them off the general public's reach, out of the reach of the general public, so that way you have to be a certified applicator to obtain those products. Again, this is more on the public side, on the residential public side, but that is out there, okay? Yes? Yes?
If there are several registered certified applicators on a farm, do we all need to do those trainings?
Yes.
Paraquat,
Yes.
if one person has paraquat training, the others still need to do it as
Yes. Mm-hmm. Even if they're working under your license, okay, as you know, a private applicator, you may have someone on your farm that works under your license, but those individuals still have to do their own dicamba and Grimac or paraquat training, okay? Yeah, they do, yep. And that goes for even, say, on the commercial level, if you have a certified applicator that works at ABC Commercial Applicators, and he has registered employees working under him, they still have to take that training as well if they're handling the products, okay? Yes?
The dicamba training.
Yes, sir.
That had to be taken if you use it anytime, anywhere, or is it just for the post-emergent bean?
It's just for the OTTs, yep, the over-the-top applications. That's correct, yeah. Yeah, if you're using I think old Bassagran had it in it. I think that's one of the products. I know I used to deal with it years ago, but dicamba, but it's not labeled for over-the-top use on soybeans, but that just pertains to them.
Do you still have to get the training, or are you okay on that?
Any post-emergent application on those, it's 4 products. The Extendamax, yeah, those 4 products, yeah. Yep, okay, yep. And it'll have it on that label that you need that training as well. Any other questions? I'll have some at the end too, I'm sure. So this is what I was referring to earlier in regards to the registered employees. This has a lot to do with it. So a few changes coming that are in the works are restricted use pesticides will eventually have to be applied by certified applicators only. That's what's in the works. That's what they're looking at. It'll be available for public comment in 2025, and they're talking about enforcement by July 2026. So they're trying to get away from companies having 1 certified applicator and 15 registered employees out there applying restricted use pesticides, okay? If you're handling restricted use pesticides, EPA wants you to be a certified applicator, which I think is a good thing. Again, as private applicators, you qualify as a certified applicator, okay? There's a new private applicator category that's coming down the pike as well. I don't think anybody in here, maybe with Central Sod, I don't know, they're commercial. But anyway, soil fumigation will have its own category for private applicators, okay? Some of the changes that are coming down the way is the rodenticides are going to be restricted use pesticides, and you can look into these. It just depends on what product you're going to use, but basically, if it's not in its own contained unit, like the packs and loose blocks and things of that nature, they're going to be restricted use pesticides, okay? Again, this comes into play more on the homeowner side with the registered and so many registered employees out there, putting these products down. Kurt had mentioned the atrazine changes. So the changes on the federal level are prohibited applications to saturated soil, prohibited applications during rain, or when a rainstorm is forecasted within 48 hours following an application. As I tell everybody, good luck with that one on the eastern shore of Maryland in the summertime. No aerial applications, and then no more than 2 pounds of active ingredient per acre per year to sorghum, field corn, or sweet corn. again, get in there, guys. Get on the EPA's website. It's a plethora of information, and that's available on that website. They have a search engine. Just hit atrazine on that EPA website, and then you can go through all those regulations. So this has kind of come full circle, and I don't think I have the updated. So who knew about the ruling that was, kicking out the over the top? So it's been since kind of reversed. Did you go into it, Kurt? I wasn't in. So it's, now existing stock basically is available. So, and you can use it through this year, through the end of the period that usually was, whatever that was, July or June. Yeah, the end of June. Okay. So you can still use existing stock this year. I don't know what's going to happen. Any updates, Kurt?
They have the existing stocks ordered. If you have it, you can use it. If your distributor has it, they can sell it.
Yeah.
You're not getting any more.
All right.
And the labels on those products in 2025 anyway, so just, you can use what you have.
Yeah. So one more year of those, and who knows what will happen. But that was a big point of contention a few weeks ago. That happened like the night before I was doing Caroline's presentation. And a guy said, "Man, did you hear dicamba's been outlawed?" I'm like, "What?" So anyway, yeah, that's, you can use the stock and it can be sold what's out there now. This is a new thing this year, guys, and this is important. So if you pay attention to anything, if I'm up here rambling on, pay attention to this part. So Bulletin's live too. Did you go on this, Kurt? Okay, good. Okay, Kurt did. So it's important, guys. Get in there, look around, look on your map, print that information out. I'll go into it a little bit. If you print that information out, you have a 6-month window where it adheres to what map and what information you have. In other words, if you print that map out and 3 months from now, something pops up in this area, if you have that map printed out with regulations where they're written now, it applies to the map and the information that you've printed out that you have, okay? So it's a good practice to get in there and look around. This is an example of what the map looks like. You see up there in the southwest corner of New Jersey, that was a PULA is what they call them, pesticide use limitation area. And that did pertain to dicamba. And what that PULA did was expand the setbacks. You had the normal setbacks, and then it added a 57-foot omnidirectional setback all the way around the field. So just things like that. But if you look down on the shore, there's a couple spots right there that are on the shore, but other than that, there's not too many. It's difficult to see your spots, so get in there, zoom in on your area, look around. You can also search in the web box as well, the search engine box. I suggest you get in there, look around, print that information out, and get familiar with it. That's on the western shore, but you can see how small some of those areas are. If you're near water, something to keep in mind, okay?
Dave,
Yes.
if you're spraying in the sprayer, do you have to have that map with you like your other documents?
That's a good question, Tommy. If not, we can look it up in the field. But it would be a good thing to carry it with you, much like your license. If anything, it would prevent a lot of miscommunication. But if you're clear, and if I research it, ultimately when I do a USOB out there, I go back and I review that USOB, and if everything's coherent with regulations, then you're good to go. But yeah, I would have it with me. I don't know if that's a set regulation or not. It's just a knowledge thereof and adhering to that label, because the labels do have references to Bulletins Live 2 on them now, okay? So, yeah, it's something we could definitely look up on. And that's a map of the United States. So, like Jenny and I were talking last week, down in Louisiana, those areas, Illinois, look at that area up in there, and just imagine having those areas to deal with, okay? One thing about Bulletins Live 2, it does not tell you what species it's protecting, endangered species it's protecting, but you can find that out, okay? If you search, you can find that out. I can't give you that information directly, but Jenny can. Okay? Field Watch, it's a great tool to have. As you see there, it shows a vineyard, and that's kind of what this thing's all geared to, protecting people and communication, guys, and it's very important. It's just to enhance the community communication for sensitive crops, bees, things of that nature. It's a great tool to have. I suggest, again, you get on there and look around. As applicators, as certified applicators, this service is free to you. You can get on there, you can look at the map, see what's in your area, see if someone's put up a new vineyard somewhere, or if someone's thrown up a couple beehives on the other side of that Leland cypress hedgerow, so just keep that in mind. Complaints are up. Guys, everybody's watching these days. I mean, we've had cell phones, pictures, every kind of thing you can imagine. This was a Ring doorbell camera that the lady got this picture from. So I could say something, but here on the shore, I used to have, unlimited bathrooms access, but that's not true anymore. You never know who's watching. So complaints are up. Last year we had 37 complaints, and for the fiscal year of 2023, our fiscal year starts July 1st. Already this year, I think we're up over 20 now. So we're more than half, and it's just hit halfway. More and more people in the area that are unfamiliar with agriculture. We had a lady call last year screaming and crying on the phone saying she was being killed by a poisonous white cloud, and we got a hold of the landowner and they were spreading dry lime. So, they just don't know, and unfortunately, but that's what we're here for. We go into that, we go into the fact that, we've only had 37 last year, probably going to approach 40 this year, if not over. But of them, there's probably 5 to 7 that we, avoid off by simply communicating to the people, okay? Letting them know what's going on. The aerial applicators, when they're spreading cover crop in the fall, we get constant phone calls that they're spreading chemicals on them. I've been hit with chemicals. What do I do? And they send us a picture and it's cover crop seed. So just keep that in mind, guys, okay? Someone's always watching, and just be mindful. I work with you guys any way I can when I do my USOBs, and, as long as you're, doing it and got your license, doing the best you can, we'll work with you, but ultimately you're responsible for your application. And when it comes down to that point in time, when a complaint's called in, I just have to follow through with the procedure that is presented in front of me, and that's gathering every bit of information I can. Same old thing. There's been one lady that's called into the department. I've mentioned this like over 1,000 times in the last few years. Yeah, she's either called, emailed, written letters, governor, secretary, wrote into the Baltimore Sun, completely false information. But anyway, she filed 8 complaints herself last year, and unfortunately more and more people, are moving into the area that don't understand and are not knowledgeable about agriculture and pesticides in general. And I fear we'll have more and more people like this. Unfortunately, it's a lot of, time and manpower wasted when we could be out there doing better things. Ultimately, she's cutting her nose off to spite her face. Enforcement update. Records, guys, this is a copy of the record that we use for all the information that the EPA requires as far as your applications. I've got these on hand. I can get them for you. I don't have any with me today. I just ran out. I need to print some more, but if you let me know, I can get them to you. And records, keep them for a couple years. Records are out there just as much to protect you as they are, for our information as well. Violations. As far as you guys, ag-related violations were only 26% of our complaints. Residential were 59%. Distributors just 2%, and then EPA initiated, 13%, 19. There's a little break there, but small. But agriculture, you're looking at 26%. So roughly a quarter of our our complaints were ag-related, of which I probably handled 90% of them here on the shore. Business violations, safety, records is of course the biggest violation, with almost half of our violations on the business side coming under records. So it just gives you a good visual as to how much records are the violation dominating feature on pertaining to our regulations. Guys, if you have a spill, just immediately notify us, or if something goes wrong. We had a great, for instance, of that this past year. A wrong application is something that you need to notify us about. We had a lawn care company apply. The employees went out and they applied to the neighbor's property, not the property that they were supposed to apply to. Well, once they realized this, they called in our department, so we were familiar with what happened, what they applied, and the whole gambit of information. So when the lady called in there, we were ready with, okay, this is what they applied, this is what it does. Communication prevents confrontation. I say it every time, and it helped. So, if you do something wrong, just let us know, and it's all part of it. More than likely it's going to get found out anyway, but just keep that in mind. Recycling is canceled for this year. I've went into this for a couple years and not coming up for the foreseeable future. It's something we did for a long, long time, but we had a lot of trouble with the last contractor that was presented to us with not taking jugs. He didn't take over half the jugs, and ultimately we had to pay to get a company to come collect the jugs, just simply because he was too picky in the process of how good they were rinsed. We had the same contractor for over 20 years with a 99% take as far as our recycled jugs and the way they were washed, and there was never a problem. They got this new contractor and it all went to pot. So with us having to pay to get rid of the jugs at that point in time, we just dropped the program. Triple rinsed, get rid of your cap, punch a hole in it, make sure your jugs are as clean as you can get them. You can take them to the landfill, okay? A lot of people don't know that, but yeah, you can take them. Unfortunately, the last year we did this, we did over 30 tons of plastic for recycling. Now it's going to go to the landfill, but it's all, it's not something that we can control. But just make sure you rinse those jugs as good as you can. Those punchers that have the hose on them and spray and swash it around and do that a few times and rinse them out, they get them really, really clean. But as long as they're triple rinsed, capped rid of, and punched, you're good to go. Spotted lanternfly, it's coming more all the time. Seems to be moving in waves where it was predominant a few years ago. There's not so many of them this past year, but just keep an eye on it, report it. You can just go on the website and report it now. Squash them if you can. I was up looking at our blind where we trap hawks this past year out in Washington County, and I counted 60 of them on that blind at one time. And I was like, I'm not standing here for an hour punching all these spotted lanternflies. So when you see them, then they were everywhere. It was unbelievable. It was an eye-opener for me how many there were. They were just covering the branches. But squash them if you see them. Guys, this is our number. Here, our address again, the 410-841-5710 is the number right to the department. If you need my number, just let me know, and I'll take any questions if anybody's got any questions.
Anybody have any questions today?
Are you all ready for a break, aren't you? A man told me one time, the brain will absorb only what the bladder will hold.
You're right.
Good morning, Jenny Schmidt. I farm up in Sudlersville. I am one of your board members for the Maryland Grain Producers Utilization Board, which is our checkoff dollar administrator, and then our Maryland Grain Producers Maryland Grain Producers. I'm drawing a blank. Anyways, it's the lobbying arm, which Lindsay Thompson, many of you know, she's our executive director. Today she's in Annapolis lobbying on behalf of Maryland grain farmers. And Janelle Eck and Jen Gannon, who are staff members for Maryland Grain, are at Commodity Classic in Texas. So our board is your voice in Annapolis. If you're not members, you can use your checkoff dollars as a transfer for membership. Most of you hopefully attend our Commodity Classic in July here at the park. Jim Weissmeyer is going to be our keynote speaker this year. He is a policy and grain commodity analyst with Pro Farmer. And Joanne Clendenning, who is going to be our MC. She is the host of our very popular Maryland Farm and Harvest TV show. Hopefully you watch on Maryland Public Television. But if you're not a member of Maryland Grain Producers, I encourage you to go to the marylandgrains.org website. Consider using your checkoff dollars as a transfer for membership. Then you don't really have to pay for it because you already have. And if you have any questions, let us know. Thanks.